It's trending. It's a great platform. You've got 1 billion people to our left, 1 billion people to our right in emerging markets. Great place to be, but
the director of Dhabi Holding Company, Obediah Ayton.
if you're kind of just a mid-sized business looking to grow, signing up to the future of this country, it has to be part of your pitch. All these big tech companies like Nvidia, you're coming to us and you're saying how amazing you are and how well you're doing. It's kind of like, well, if we just give you everything that you want, then you're going to go back to your country and be amazing and we're going to be left with nothing.
Setting up open equity, there was a certain start of thinking like, I need to pretend I'm this Blackstone KKR type person running around. But I was like, come on, just chill out and just be a bit more normal.
Do you want to be the person who builds a community, or do you want to be the person who wants to make money out of bums on seats?
But was there a moment where that shifted?
When things grow, kind of, you got to start figuring out, right, it's getting bigger. What do we do?
So before we begin with today's conversation, a word from us at Open Equity. You're probably watching this because you're looking to scale and exit or IPO your company successfully. Well, we have a wealth of resources that are designed exactly to support your success, from workshops, from free guides, from downloads and things like that. There's loads of links in the description. Now, one I want to highlight is a scorecard that we've put together that allows you to assess very easily what it is that's stopping you, what's holding you back from getting to the next level, what's holding you back from building towards that big exit that you probably desire and, of course, that you deserve. So head down below. There's a link to the scorecard. It's 20 or so questions. It takes about a minute to do, and you output a custom report that's designed to support you and give you some practical and actionable insights that you can implement right away and take things to the next level. Let's get on with the show. Obadiah, it's an honour to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I want to jump right into it and talk to you about family offices.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking just in the run-up. You're up to so much things with the summit and the accounting firms and the holding company, everything like that. But, let's talk about family office. What is a family office and what does it take to build a successful one, in your opinion?
Well, it kind of starts with a family business, right? So I've always been very family orientated. Like, even for the summits I had last week, I had my mum there, my sister there, wife there. Everyone was there just kind of chiming in.
Yeah.
Because I feel as if you can rely on them a lot. And it's not that you can't rely on staff, it's just they care.
Yeah.
Kind of that little bit extra. And I think with an event, when you're dealing with so many people, it's nice when you got my mum saying, "Hi, how are you? What's your name?"
No, it was great.
Come in.
When I came along to the one in Dubai and met your mum and met your wife, everything like that, I was like, oh, this is a real family affair, this thing. It's great.
People don't realise until I tell them, oh yeah, my mum's on the front and my dad's helping me on stage, my wife, and then this time around I have my little sister from the UK. So it's kind of a good deal. I say, I'll pay for your flight, I'll pay for your accommodation, just help me for the day. And my sister was like, yeah, I'm in. And she works for the NHS, so she's very much vested in the UK. But yeah, so family businesses, I think, are fascinating because, especially in this country, it's like 90% of the economy is like family business run. And I kind of, over the years, started researching more and more about family businesses. And I guess it just kind of went deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I built a bit of a social presence around the word family office. I kind of grew the size of that and just tried to build my intellect around that word. And that's it really. And that's kind of been the passion. Do I know where it's going? No, not at all. But it's fun.
Yeah. But you must get such a broad perspective, meeting so many families, and obviously the different family dynamics and different challenges and things like that. Like, what have you observed in meeting probably hundreds of different family businesses, family offices, and the dynamics and challenges that they have there?
They're all very different, and not all are the same. I guess it's. I always said Europe and America, that because of the tax man, they had to build these very complex structures. And that's now moving into the Middle East. So because disclosure, tax, regulation is now becoming more prominent here, which is an unbelievable thing. This is why this is becoming a great platform for everybody in the world. A lot of family businesses are now having to just organize themselves in a different way. So like the family business is the family business. They have operational entities. The revenue gets pulled to the holding company. You have the family members. They have their board meetings, investment committee. But a lot of the money's reinvested, strategically. If you've got an automotive unit, real estate, everything else. Now, in the UK and Europe and America, there was this thing called a family office, which was, a very posh and like kind of product.
Yeah.
It was like having your own bank.
Yeah.
So you would send a dividend to the office structure. You would have a couple of very expensive CVs, so guys from Goldman or God knows what else, and their job is to make money. So they've got their own agenda, their own mandate to go out and make money on that money. So that's kind of what's going on in the region at the moment. The only issue is typically families are bigger here. It's not like where you have an entrepreneurial tech family from the UK where he sold a software company and it's like him and his brothers, but they're not kind of connected. A lot of the family businesses here are so interconnected. Plus, a lot of family members are members of government. So they're very much tied into the future of this country. So as I said, it's kind of amazing to watch. And obviously meeting so many different families, it's kind of this passion around the Middle East is just because it's going through this change. We're kind of a part of it, and it's already, Europe and the US have been doing it for many years. I would like to think researching into them is not as exciting. So yeah, I guess timing is a bit lucky, and it's just fascinating.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I was over the last 5 years being in Saudi and then UAE and so on. Is the transformation been unbelievable? Like the pace of it, and as well, have you noticed the sophistication there? Because it sounds like maybe family office, it was kind of this loose thing that maybe kind of created over multiple decades, but then now they're thinking, well, we actually need to professionalize this thing, and we need to start kind of getting a house in order and ready to take on bigger challenges in this.
It's, I think the word family office is a trending word. I think it's also very overused.
I meet a lot of people say I run a family office. And then you kind of don't.
Bloody expensive, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's expensive. Like outsource a CIO. I was speaking to, there's actually a brand here called the Family Office Company. They're like a ginormous investment bank, multi-family office structure from Bahrain. And they're talking about offering a new product, which was like an outsourced CIO, because a family office is expensive. So I think, yes, the word is a bit overused. And you don't really need to overuse it. Just call yourself a family business, a successful business as it is.
That in itself, I think for a lot of people, maybe watching this, is that seems a lot less intimidating. I think the word family office seems like this very stuffy kind of, Mayfair private bank type thing, as opposed to, it's a family business. Well, that makes sense. I can relate to that. I can understand how you might approach that.
And at like the summits,
shift.
it's at the summits I've had to kind of really differentiate an office and a family business or a holding structure, because they're so different. Like the office, your job is to make alpha for the family. So you're kind of constantly looking for sophisticated fund managers. You don't really do a huge amount of direct investing because you don't have the risk appetite, and the team of the office may only be 3 or 4 people. Yes, you have like in Dubai, you have some bigger teams. Like I know the Omani family that run Marash Management. It's like 30 people. Unbelievable. So yes, maybe direct assets might be more available because you've got a bigger team to do the diligence. So I think it's this kind of understanding of, if you're talking to an office, it's like these guys are probably less risk averse to take a direct approach because, they're a small team. They probably might go up for bigger names in the world. They might do some growth equity, stuff like that. But a family holding, they're going to be very emotional. So if you come along as a little startup and you're a good solution and you're cheap, you're saving the business money, you're cheap, and you're this kind of niche solution that I don't think anyone knows about. So kind of the approach is so different. But it's good for both of them to be together, because I think they can learn a lot from one another. The suit and tie family office opposed to the kind of the dusty family business that gets involved with everything. Yes, they need each other.
And what are some of the mistakes? Because there'll be a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of fund managers approaching family business, family offices, the people behind them, everything, like pinging them on LinkedIn or, what are some of those mistakes you see when people try and approach them for partnership, for, fundraising, for co-investments, things like that?
Well, I always try to do this on LinkedIn. It's I don't want to be an expert in that industry, because I don't know everything. Like everybody, as I told you, family business is all different. But it's kind of like, from the research of looking at a lot of these, again, you can kind of tell from the businesses that they're in, the structure, the size of the team, and a lot of this is done from an exterior basis. So as I said, we were talking about this before. It's like everyone's excited about Middle East. You know, Trump's just come over here and he couldn't stop talking about trillions and billions, right? So now the whole world thinks that this is just even more of a gold mine than it was before. So I think it's just business, right? It's like, this place has done so well without expats for a long time. So they're very much, they can look after themselves. So when businesses come in, it's more about, let's talk business. Let's talk about how you can help me and I can help you, opposed to, I can make you loads of money, give me money and I'll show you. So it's that, going back to that basics, it's that excitement. It's like, if you're a kid at Christmas or your birthday, you know, you want to wrap open that present, open it up, and you haven't even said thank you. It's.
No, I think it's a great lesson there, because I meet a lot of people who, that kind of bright-eyed enthusiasm about, oh my goodness, I'm speaking to so-and-so. And I think maybe as well, if people are coming from maybe the US or from Europe, they perhaps don't have the cultural understanding. And so probably may have a bit of caricature in their head about how to approach people and things like that. But I think there's a lot of insights in what you said in terms of also doing the research. I mean, a lot of people who fire off stuff to me and probably to you, where it's like, can I show you the pitch deck? Can I show you this thing or that thing or the other? Whereas actually, if someone had taken the time to do a bit of research on the family and says, exactly as you said, you're invested in these things, I think this can help you. I think this can save you some money. I think this can be useful. Even just that subtle bit of research is often not done, and people then struggle to get in. Do you find people who've done that research and actually maybe come with a more of a, understanding of the family do a lot better than people who just fire off random messages on LinkedIn and cold emails and things like that?
I think one of the first questions I always ask a lot, I mean, that, you know what it's like, the world of social media, direct messages, is just, why the UAE? It's like, that's what I always say. It's like, can we have a meeting? We're doing this. I just say, why? Why the Middle East? And then a lot of them don't really have an answer.
Apart from, I think there's a pot of money.
Well, yeah, and of course that may be on their mind, but they're just like, it's trending. So it's like, it's just trendy. So I'm reaching out to you because you're in the Middle East and there's money going on and it's trending. And I guess we are so small here. So small. And I think people don't realize it's an unbelievable platform and the concentration is great, but it is tiny. And you have to be vested in this place for the long term. And all the big names, they're already being watched and already in contact with the big names here. So all of us in this kind of middle layer here and the lower layer trying to do business, trying to make things happen, you've got to have this real long-term approach, because this country, because you don't have pension schemes, expat pension schemes, tax incentive schemes, I guess it's still not built for the long term for an expat yet. They've just, obviously the golden visa, we're getting there. So maybe the local environment don't see a lot of people as long term. They see them coming here, taking and leaving. So again, if you actually see it from their perspective and sit in their shoes, that you've got all these amazing brands that were built in the West and the East, all these new Chinese manufacturers building all these cars that we see on Sheikh Zayed Road, all these big tech companies like Nvidia, you're coming to us and you're saying how amazing you are and how well you're doing. It's kind of like, well, if we just give you everything that you want, then you're going to go back to your country and be amazing and we're going to be left with nothing. Yes, you could give us money back, but we want to build the flag. We want to build the country. So I think even as a small business, you really have to take that approach, is kind of signing up to the future of this country. It has to be part of your pitch. And I get it that you got 1 billion consumers in India, but you kind of have to think about how this is part of your journey. Because if it's not, then what's
the point?
Unless you're a trendy company with a good cap table where you've got there's a chance. But if you're kind of just a mid-sized business looking to grow, you have to be real. But it's not cheap setting up here.
No, but I mean, I fully agree with you. When I think, I always think, put yourself in the other shoes. I mean, if someone rocked up to me, if I was back in the UK or whether I was here, and you could tell that they're thinking very short-term, transactional, just want to get something out of you and head off. I mean, anyone would have that thought and feeling, which is, well, why would I do business with you? Whereas if, it's like you build relationships over time, you work on something small and then you build it up to another level. And that kind of, exactly as you said, that long-term mindset is something that I think is super critical. And I personally, I really enjoy the way of doing business in terms of, actually getting to know people over a period of time before you maybe even talk about doing business. I think sometimes I find the UK, I think, maybe has one of the worst dynamics where it's always a perpetual maybe and nothing actually happens. Yeah. The US, at least, it's kind of like, how can I make money? How can UK make money? And you get on with it, which you can like or not like, depending on your life. But I really enjoy the balance of like, let's get to know each other. If we're thinking about a partnership, let's think about what we could do over many years and maybe many projects. But that instilling that mindset, is it just something people have to have, they have to adopt? Because, it's like you meet hundreds of people and you can tell quite quickly, can't you? Is this person just thinking are they just looking at me as a bag of money, or are they really looking to build a relationship and do something here? And I understand if you get burnt a few times, if I was a family, I might be a bit cautious to build new relationships.
I think it's like everybody's got a great idea and a shiny piece of tech these days. And everyone's now enhancing their company or their product with AI. So it's like, if I want to just be on a cap table, let's go back to being an investor, right? As a family business, you're like, if I just want to be on a cap table and just sit there and learn, then fine, right? But that's not that interesting. It's like I can do that with thousands or millions of companies in the world. And this is where kind of this emotional attachment is like, a lot of the family businesses here are attached to their family name. You don't see that in the UK, right? You see the Rothschilds or Guggenheim partners in the US, but very few are still attached to their family name. But here they're attached. So it's like doing business with them is doing business with their family name and their legacy. So now you know why they take more time. This is why typically a family office of the family business is in a different name, because they're going to be a lot more risk averse. They're going to be more international. But kind of dealing with the family holding, the reason why they're quite local thinking is because they can control and they can add value and all this type of stuff. So I think it's going back to the mentality of anyone coming here and kind of having this expectation. It's, as I said, you just got to sign up to the future of this country for a while. I mean, I'm not saying you have to move your life here, but you have to be very vested, spend that money, which is not cheap. Getting a license and an office in DIFC or ADGM now is expensive. It's not like £1 in the UK where you can go in company's house, which isn't for everyone. So that's what I'm saying. The world's a big place. I'm not saying this is for everyone. It's trending. It's a great platform. You've got 1 billion people to our left, 1 billion people to our right in emerging markets. Great place to be. But yeah, I also think a lot of people spend a lot of money here, hoping for the best and go home upset. So it always has its negatives as well.
Yeah, no, I understand. Before we continue with the conversation, a quick break, because I want to tell you about our new series of live workshops where we have a conversation about how to scale and exit or IPO successfully. These are intimate, these are focused, these are very tailored to your questions. I will be hosting them personally. You can learn from my 10 plus years of experience scaling companies to hundreds of millions in revenue and securing exits, even helping to take companies public. If you're interested, you can sign up below. These are only shared with the people who sign up to the link. These are very much behind the scenes where I can share, much more that I can't tell you about here. So click below, sign up to the link, join the workshop, and on with the show. Let's talk about a bit more about your journey, because you, as we were talking before, you had a sports scholarship to the US. Did you go back to the UK first and then come out here, or what was it about UAE?
Yeah, good question.
How did you lead? How did you get here?
I've probably lived outside the UK for more of my life now. Yeah, definitely. So golf came around when I was 16 years old. Big sports person, like cricket, tennis, everything. Got obsessed with it. Played a golf tournament in Scotland and pretty much got headhunted to a university. It was in New York. I wasn't good enough to go to a southern school because you'd sit on the bench. It's kind of like going in the Premier League versus the Championship. I said, if I go in the north, okay, there's snow 3-4 months a year, but I will be selected. And I ended up getting a scholarship. Yeah, I kind of had to prove my worth in my first year, similar to that. It's like I didn't get everything year one, but proved myself, and they gave me a full ride for the last 3 years. So I was like, okay, good. Graduated. I did this thing called caddying, which is carrying a golf bag for a rich guy on Long Island. Funny enough, one of the guys who's caddy for is a guy called Steve Witkoff. He's now the senior advisor to Donald Trump for the Middle East. So unbelievable.
Yeah. I know a few people who've actually made some amazing connections, like a good friend and business partner. He met Mike Bloomberg caddying, and there's a few people like that where, and it seems he was quite young and he didn't realise who he was at the time. But it was
Witkoff, I had no idea. Yeah. Like some guy in real estate, and he's like,
you're like, oh, he's got some nice ping.
He's basically like Trump, right? He's like a multi-billionaire real estate guy. And there's many other people. We had Mrs. Sachs of Goldman Sachs. She used to play 7 holes, had really bad parkies, but she used to just love playing.
Oh, really?
So you had all these old dynasties. I guess that's where... I guess
because you were near Manhattan, weren't you?
I was on Long Island in Old Westbury, which is kind of about...
So I guess they must come out of the city, and then there's...
Penn Station, it's like 50-minute train ride, and there's a lovely neighbourhood called Westbury, and it was a beautiful golf course, so pristine. So yeah, it's kind of that balance between the city life and Long Island. So I wanted to stay there. Couldn't get my visa renewed. Gave up my American dream, came back to the UK, went to the embassy, said, can I go back to America? They said, you're an accountant, you got an accounting degree, there's loads of people applying for this. I'm like,
oh, really?
And that was a part of me where I was like, unless I did something specialist at university, getting visas in other countries was quite tough. And that was kind of my first experience of that. So I was a bit like, oh, why did I do accounting? I did it because my brother did it. That was in all honesty. So I went back to the UK. I wasn't really happy with being in the UK. So I was very much open-minded. Caddied, met another guy on a golf course. That was kind of all I knew. Ended up working for a family office of a German entrepreneur as an investment analyst. Because on the golf course when I was caddying, I started talking about esports is a future, film distribution. This was before Netflix was a thing. I did mention a little bit, I'm not a big crypto person, but I did mention Bitcoin and crypto was like kind of a thing that young people were starting to do. So when I started saying all these things, he called me up one day and said, I was at the gym and I was like, I didn't know who it was. And he was like, remember you caddied for me, you started talking about this thing and crypto's going up and esports is now going through the roof. And he said, come and work with me. And I said, I didn't really know what. So I went up to this shiny office in Savile Row in London, worked there for about a year. He then retired, did a PhD. So that was when at that time I started coming out to the Middle East. So I kind of chose this place, took my laptop, stayed in a horrible hotel on Sheikh Zayed Road. I think it was called Grand Stay or something. Yeah, orange carpets, so old.
Beautiful.
Elevator broke all the time. And sat there for 6 months paying about £1,000 a month rent all in. Trying to figure stuff out. And the first stuff I did was my brother's an accountant. So I said, if I get an accounting license here under the Federal Tax Authority, can I start winning clients? We did. VAT came in. And that's kind of how it all started. And then the investment world kind of triggered me. So I started building a social presence around the word family office. I always had an interest in it. I then went down to ADGM after the pandemic, got a Cat 3C license, wanted to be kind of this asset managed deal guy, ran around town like a headless chicken trying to get deals done. And it was tough because I'm a young guy taking New York private equity funds to some of the sovereigns, and they're kind of looking at me going, yeah, it's nice, but we get access to a lot of this. It's like, and then trying to do something. I got a few things done, nothing big. And people started to treat me a little bit different when I was had the Cat 3C, because I was kind of like trying to be this New York kind of placement guy, doing bits here and there. And I don't know if I liked it, because I had the accounting companies and we were growing that in background. And I was like, well, I'm a business owner. And then we started doing other investments. I started investing in US equities, Indian equities. And I kind of, the placement world was like, I was forcing it a bit hard because even me, I was just like, why is things taking so long in this country?
Yeah.
So I was like, forcing. Why are you not replying? Doing this. And then this guy would stop replying to me. And then when I reached out again, he wouldn't reply again. And then I'm like, right, I've now annoyed a lot of people because I'm treating them different. Because now it's my business to kind of start brokering deals.
Placement one's a funny one, isn't it? Because that kind of broking and because it inevitably is quite transactional because it is literally a transaction that you're trying to get over the line, as opposed to being the business owner where, you know, you're, as an accountant, you may be working with companies for decades and supporting them.
It's just different. You're kind of,
sorry, I cut you off. Carry
on. No. And
story.
But in New York, it's like, if I'm not beating the guy next to me, making more money, I'm not as successful as him. So it's very transactional, very placement-y in New York.
Yeah.
Because in New York, it's like, I just need more transactions on my CV to progress. When over here, it's different. It's not that kind of transactional market. And it's kind of like the better relationships I have is kind of where I'm going to succeed more, opposed to how much money I've done or how much business I've done. So it's getting better. It's getting more like that because the world is kind of using this place as an international hub. So after I sold the Cat 3C license, moved out of ADGM, spent a bit more time up in Dubai. And then I had this kind of network, which I ran around town kind of trying to get stuff. And I just said, what do I do? So in background, I was doing small events. I was the guy that paid the bar bill. So it was like, how can you not have a network if you're the one paying for everyone's drinks?
Yeah.
So I was doing that throughout all my years here, but it was only like 30, 40 people each time. I was doing it probably 3-4 times a year, not that common. And then built this Summit brand, which is now, you know, trending in the right direction. And that was really putting that network into that. But I kind of signed up to being the events guy, not the Cat 3C guy. And I don't know where it's going, but it's going in the right direction. And it's become super organic. And I quite like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny you said this. We had a guest who was in a couple of weeks ago, and similar. I think he was initially very transactional, was doing individual deals, and then built this community. And through the community, then the quality of deal flow, the relationships came, and all of that thing, and then compounding over time means that then is in a really good position. It sounds like, I mean, that maybe that pivot from the lone wolf, lone shark going out to try and get a transaction over the line versus actually now you're kind of at the epicenter of a big conversation, lots of families in there, lots of people trying to do business here, and obviously then coming to you as the go-to person around that. Sounds like a great way of building a network and a presence in a new country.
Yeah, and it's I just kind of, after the kind of trying to do the placement stuff, I thought, okay, let me give everybody things and then ask them.
But was there a moment where that shifted? Because that's actually quite a big mindset shift from I'm going out to try and take something from the world.
Yeah.
For then I'm actually leading with
just give everything. And I'm still giving.
Yeah.
I haven't asked for a single thing in probably 3 years now from anybody.
But was there a moment you thought I need to do this differently, or I need to change, or
I think it's because the culture here. It's like
it just suddenly clicked at some point.
Yeah, it was kind of just the culture here. I don't know. I'm still learning. I mean, as an expat here, you're still learning the culture, the mindset. Dubai has become a very international city, but there's still a huge cultural aspect that you have to embrace and respect. So yeah, I don't know when that turning point was. I think it was maybe I was trying to be somebody I wasn't meant to be. I don't have like a banking CV, so it's like running around town trying to do these big deals with big names. It's like maybe it wasn't for me.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I about a couple of years, I had the same thing. I mean, setting up open equity, and running a private equity firm, I remember had the initial feeling was, rather than leaning into, I'm an operator, I've built companies, I can be on the side of founders and speak the language of private equity. There was a certain start of thinking like, I need to pretend I'm this Blackstone KKR type person running around. And I had the same realization. I was like, come on, just chill out and just be a bit more normal. And it's, it means that you can just kind of be yourself rather than trying to be, Steve Schwartzman or Henry Kravis or someone.
Yeah, and it's a kind of, and the magic's starting to happen without me even doing anything. So it's like,
well, you're doing a lot. I mean, it's not. For instance, you had the event last Thursday.
Yeah, and people think like it's a team of like hundreds of people, and it's like it's me, and I have a marketing team, but I have to do all the content, every speaker. And one by one, every single that walks through the door, I have gone through who they are and their agenda. So I ask them, what's your agenda of coming? Because I need to know, are you going to run around and annoy everyone? Or are you actually going to respect the person in front of you? So it's just like, we've probably now got about 700 names, which, considering we're like reaching out to the mass audience, we do no outbound marketing. I just promote it through my personal brand. So I actually don't need the outbound marketing, but we just want to still be visual and not be that cool club like a Forbes club where it's like, sorry, you're not invited. It's like everyone has a chance, and I'm not saying it's a snooty platform where it's just like nobody. It's just, if your profile doesn't make sense for the audience. Like on my last event, on one of the drop downs, it said, early stage startup, this event is not for you. And people still signed up on that button saying we want to come, and I said, you're dealing with the wrong audience.
Yeah, they're not going to put 250 grand into your pre-seed idea.
I don't. You'll waste your time and your money. It's just not for you. So I'm trying to make it fair as possible, but it's dealing with an events company. It's also, because it's quite public, it has its challenges. It's not like it's a private small community, and when things grow, kind of, you got to start figuring out, right, it's getting bigger. What do we do with it? And I think I'm just going to keep it size as it is and just keep rolling. And as I said, just wait for the magic to happen. And when I say magic, it's like we've had an energy deal been done with a listed energy company in New York. We've had probably lots of underground recruitment, I call it. We've had a hedge fund. He only told me a week before the event. He goes, we raised $1 million. I know it's not a lot, but a small emerging hedge fund. He actually came as a team member of one of my sponsors probably 3 events ago. He was just added as a team member. And hey, so the guy told me, he's like, I raised $1 million for my hedge fund. It was about a 10 million AUM. Happy day. So we're hearing all these things that come back to us, which is great.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to do with it, where it's going, or what to do with all this stuff. It's. I guess that's the part I need to think about this summer.
Yeah, but I think there's some amazing lessons in that journey for people at home watching this, is the putting yourself in the right circles. Because the golf thing, it sounds like you got into a network and probably people who are 30, 40 years
and I listen to how they act and what they want.
Exactly. And so, whereas a lot of people might just think, oh, I'm just caddying, this is boring, I'm
and they hang, they're like, they hang out and they like don't speak about work.
Yeah.
They're just people.
Yeah. I always think that's fine when people kind of say, what do investors think? And I'm like, they're just normal people, don't be silly. But there's getting in the right circles there, like you say, listening and you said the right, you were talking about crypto, you were talking about esports and things like that. So got on that radar, then got into a place, came to a new place, and quickly learned that actually giving rather than taking is a good way of doing it. And now I've got this really great platform and all these deals that are happening out of it. I think there's a lot of inspiring lessons for other people to think about how they might approach things, particularly if they're a bit younger. Because I think getting into those, getting into the right circles, listening, giving before taking, those are all quite timeless lessons. But, I know having made many mistakes and not doing that over years, you kind of have to bump your head a few times before it's like, in hindsight, it's really obvious. But when you're looking forward, you're just thinking a bit differently.
Yeah. I think I'm quite lucky. I'm a third brother. So I've seen Dad. He used to work for Siemens. And then when he was 40, when he's 60, late 60s now, he wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I think he started a bunch of businesses that never really came to anything, in all honesty. Two older brothers who work for themselves as well. So I'm kind of lucky that I'm a third brother where I've just seen what they've done, right, wrong, and kind of wiggled my way. So like going to a different country with just a laptop was not easy, but it was I'm not going to get a job in the UK. I don't have a CV. I have a degree.
It's good. I mean, it's a good burn the bones mentality.
Yeah, and it's like you just figure it out. The reason why is I'm quite comfortable with being on zero, where meaning like I don't mind working for 5-6 months with nothing coming in, and I'm very comfortable with that. Like the events industry, you don't get paid salaries. I mean, I pay my staff. Like the event itself at the moment, because we're not growing it, like in size wise, we do one day. Like, I always say, in all honesty, I think 2-day events are, unless you're a big trade show, it doesn't make sense because the key people can only give up just 5-6 hours of their day. Can't ask for more than that, right? The day value of them to their company is worth a lot of money. So it's more about like being comfortable with the progression of a brand and the value of a brand, the value of you, the value of your network. It's kind of this zero sum of building all of that but getting no money coming in, knowing that it will become something. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing. It's like coming to the UAE. You've got to build this brand. You've got to spend all the money on the setup. You've got to spend money on licenses. You've got to do this. On the basis you might become something, or you might raise money, or you might get a contract. If you can't afford it, don't do it. Or if you want your normal monthly income, don't do it. But I say this is a land of opportunity. It's like we've got Saudi Arabia doing amazing things next door, which is 10 times the size of this country in terms of space. 3 times the population.
Double the size of the economy, yeah.
Double size of the economy, right? And they're only just kind of coming to the point where they're going, hello, world. So it's like, this is the land of opportunity for the next 10 or 20 years. And if you're a young person or a business, you have to kind of treat it as an unbelievable platform. I think if you're coming here thinking, I'm going to be a market leader, there's 12 million people here. It's not a lot. If you've got a B2C app, probably not a good place to start, but it's a good place to operate from. Same as a fund manager, great place to operate from. But there are limited investors. You're not dealing with India, where you've got probably the highest concentration of wealth now on the planet, or the soon to be. So perspective.
Let's talk about. I really want to talk more about the events, because it's something that we're thinking of doing. Is putting on. There'd probably be more workshop-based couple days with growing companies, and taking them through. How do you build? How do you scale? How do you think about exiting or taking it public and things like that? But give me some advice if you wouldn't mind. Like how would you go about like setting that intention about building a great event, kind of getting it set up, making sure it runs smoothly? How does that whole process work?
Yeah, I mean, events, I think starting off with the smaller ones is always important, because inviting too many people and it kind of the agenda or the timing's not going well will hurt you. So to kind of start with a smaller group. Yeah, keep it tight. And I think my first ones I did was like no strong agenda. It was more about just getting people together, start getting some stickiness and say, hey, that Obi guy, really nice, good people. And obviously he came, didn't pay for anything. It's like, oh, okay, nice guy. Kind of started creating that mentality. Marketing, you don't have to, it depends what industry you're in. I mean, if you're trying to be a trade conference, you have to do like a lot of outbound marketing. Sure, you're like selling tickets. You want as many people there. I think if you're quite niche, the marketing is more about the specifics of the people that you're trying to attract. It's like we're dealing with family businesses, which are quite private. Technically, a public event shouldn't really, and family office and event shouldn't really go together. It shouldn't be an event. So I think it's kind of niche marketing, a little bit of printing. You add your kind of like nice little touch to things. If you're doing a dinner, make a menu with your brand on it. stuff like that. It just goes a long
nice
way.
Details, yeah.
But in terms of, as I said, start small with a small community. You can pick a niche or you can go broad. You can go straight in day one and be niche. Let's say you want to do a dinner on private equity, or you can just do a drinks evening and start building a network and a brand, and you get content out of that. Us as humans, we know that we're not going to meet other humans we're all fed up with Zoom calls. ChatGPT is not going to build a relationship with another person. We need to meet people, and that's a business that will never die, right? Yes, even all the dating apps, you connect like LinkedIn, but you still have to meet the person if you want to do business. So meeting people in events is what everybody should be doing.
It's so much better. I mean, because it's so much more, even just to think of an efficiency point of view, is actually, I came to your event, I probably met 50 interesting people. Probably 10 of those I've carried on having conversations with, and who knows where some of those things will lead, as opposed to, like you say, I have 50 Zoom calls where it's connect with someone on LinkedIn. Hi, do you want to have a coffee? Do you want to have a chat or whatever? And I'm sure your inbox gets pummeled like mine. I'm just like, why? What do you want to talk about? What are we going to do? But coming along to an event, having a really good time, feels like it's both efficient but also extremely effective in terms of getting to know a broad group of people about a specific thing.
Yeah, I've been studying the event space. As I said, I think it's like, especially in my industry, people use the word family office to sell tickets.
Yeah,
which is bad.
But you have a really nice intention with yours, I think, because one of the things is some of the principles around, show up, don't be, don't look down on. There's a few of
like we don't put titles on our name badges.
Yeah,
I don't care if you're a CEO or an analyst.
Yeah,
so I treat each other the same. So it's like that's where it's like this organic community where, and
but that's putting a nice tone in it. Do you know what I mean?
Nice tone.
I think you've injected kind of some warmth to it, as opposed to going along to these kind of there's millions of networking events and millions of trade shows and whatever, but they're very cold. Whereas actually building, community and so on is a very different
formal
tone to it.
And I've been playing with the formal side of it maybe my events are a little bit kind of less formal at times, which has its negatives. People want, I think the first thing a guy would say, are there any arranged meetings or round tables? Yeah. And I say, no, because most people from family businesses will not be there on time. And that's not their fault. It's just who they are. Yeah. So if I tell you to sit down at 1 p.m, if he turns up late, then your day is already delayed. And that delays the next meeting, and then you're going to get angry at me. So that doesn't work. I think if you label yourself as an event where you do that type of speed dating exercise, then fine. But don't try and combine both. Don't try and be organic and kind of the speed data. So I've learned certain days of the week, we're humans. We all have similar lives as we get older. I've done an event on a Tuesday. People want to leave earlier on a Tuesday because you're in the middle of the week. Yeah. I've done an event on a Friday. We have the Friday prayer. I've done an event on a Thursday. I've done the night before drinks evening. I've done all this. I've done that. So throughout your event cycle, you have to try and invest in all this stuff.
But that's really, what have you learned works then? And I appreciate
depending on your caliber of who you're targeting.
Please save me the
yeah. It's like if I'm an employee in a big organization, I want a day out of the office. So I'll sign up for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a nice excuse to get out of the office. If I'm an entrepreneurial family, if the team's small, it's tough to get out of the office. So actually something that's less stressful and a better time of the week is better for me. So again, it depends on your target audience. Like having a Tuesday or Wednesday is fine. But if your audience are guiding people in corporates, then they're signing up for it because they're like day out of the office. It's brilliant.
Sounds great. Yeah.
But if you're dealing with like entrepreneurial group, it's like their schedule's not
like dinner
consistent
or something.
They'll tell you the night before that they're coming.
Yeah.
Speakers, biggest challenge, and what people don't see is you can have. I think I experienced in my first ever event. I thought I had all my speakers done 8 weeks out. 4 weeks out, I lost 50% of them because if you book them too early, their plans change.
Yeah.
So then you go, oh, I need to find new ones. And I had all my panels ready. Speakers will constantly change throughout all of it. And I guess the thing is for me, which I've now learned, is don't try and just put bums on seats for the sake of it to be a full stage. my last event, I had three. We had 3 last-minute dropouts in the last week, which was fine. One panel went to just one person. The other panel, I had to move another lady to another. So you can figure out. But I used to just go volume. Oh, God, I need to quickly put 2 people there, 2 people there. And you scrap around, and then you get this one person who just doesn't quite fit the agenda, and it ruins the whole mood of the discussion. So less is more with speakers. I always say us as humans, we have a certain attention span before we start looking at emails. There'll be probably 2 or 3 panels throughout the day that you're interested in. The rest of it, we all selfishly want to be out building our own network. No offense to the guys on stage. Like if I'm not in healthcare, I'm not going to listen to healthcare. So just as I said, it's really understanding your target audience, and you have to build your agenda and your event around that. And I think we're going to try a few more things as we go. I think the Dubai event we've got in October, I'm going to do like a new idea, which again, I'm not afraid of putting new ideas on the internet, because I think I try and find new speakers. I don't like conference commandos where you see the same face at every conference, because we all want to go to, in this country, because we're small, a lot of conferences use the same speakers. You hear the same things, you shake the same hands. I always try and say, right, let's get different. Even if I sacrifice a little bit of content, they may not be good speakers. Like my last event, there was a couple that were very new. They've never spoken on stage. They weren't the best on stage, but they were a fresh face, fresh perspective. So everyone's excited to meet them, because they're like, I've never seen you. You're not normally part of like the conference circuit. So, and then I look at the next event and they've taken one of the new speakers and this one, because when you speak on stage, you get a bit excited. When another person says, oh, I don't want to speak, they're like, this is great. Oh, yeah, I'll speak. So setting trends, you can't be too protective around the people that you put up on stage. I've learned that as well. You don't want to disclose too much information on the internet. I learned that throughout the series. Again, privacy is quite important.
What do you mean with that? That's an interesting one. So in terms of saying too much about
my first ever event, I put some logos, I put some names of groups coming.
And the folks got offended that they wanted to be more private than you were.
It's not about being offended. It's just like, it was one family that said to me who's coming from that group? Is it the boss? Is it the CEO? I said, no, just I've got a portfolio manager. So what gives you the right to use that name?
I see. Okay.
So
that's always a fine balance with those things. Because obviously you obviously want to inject the point that this is a great event. We've got some interesting people there.
I know.
But at the same time,
I know
you over egg it.
Because as organising an event, I credit any event organiser, because it's so hard getting people together.
Balance is difficult.
Especially in the modern world, there's so many distractions with our phones. So it's like you get a phone call or message at the last minute, people drop out 10 minutes before. So it's like, it's something you learn. You're not perfect. When you do events, everything is a bit more disclosed. It's hard not to have things there, and you learn along your way. Oh, actually, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have done that, so I don't do it again. So every event will get better, and you'll learn your audience better. So you have to start with something, and you're never going to get it right. So it's been a great journey, and now what we're trying to do is specialize a little bit, because having just a big bucket of good people and a soft agenda is great, but now we actually we work to make money. We want to, generate business. We don't just want to go around and have a drink and be sociable, good vibes. We actually do have a need of business. So we're just trying to create the balance. So I've got this idea of the night before doing kind of this dinner round table kind of idea, where it's not speed dating, but it's kind of like this nice dinner environment, but every table has its own agenda. The sponsors pay the bill of the summit. So it's like, I'm a bit different, where I take the long approach on events. So I don't care about filling up pages of sponsors. And I don't like a lot of events, because the second day, especially when you're in the investment world, and a lot of events still do it, is the second day only benefits the event organizer, because it allows them to fill up more pages of sponsors. The second day is always quieter. We've all been to these events.
Everyone goes at midday, basically.
Yeah, we've all been to these events. And then you've got a poor sponsor at the end of day 2 and nobody's there.
Talking about a really random topic that no one's there. Yeah. Everyone's out drinking
and he's
coffee.
paid to be there, bless him. Yeah. So we cap the sponsors. Like we've done 8 or 9 sponsors at every single event we've done, because that gives me enough support for the event, and I call it enough for the next deposit for the next event. But I'm taking the long approach where we generate business from the brand to our other companies inorganically. So you actually don't monetize the event day one. It will monetize itself over time. But again, you have to I think you have to pick which type of event person you want to be. Do you want to be the person who builds a community, or do you want to be the person who wants to make money out of bums on seats? Because they're both completely different products.
Yeah.
And I think that we've done a lot more events in Abu Dhabi. I like it there. I think it needs some more connectivity down there, especially in the private sector. And Dubai, there's so many events, and I think there's too much of that selling bums on seats agenda in Dubai.
There's a lot of very low quality networking events. Everyone's there to hand out a business card and whatever. And I've avoided most of those.
And they've paid to be there, so fair enough.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I think the actually to reflect on some lessons there. It sounds like you kind of start small. You've also been willing to experiment different things, and then also the tone of it as well seems very much like I'm actually thinking long term about the community and what can come out of that, rather than did I sell 100 tickets and okay, I'll do the next one then in 3 months and we'll sell another 100, and I don't care in between. Yeah.
And look at that message that goes straight back to the placement world when I had the Cat 3C.
Yeah.
I was treating people short term and I was squeezing it day one. So if I did that in the events world, it would fail. I'll be around for a year and a half, and yes, you make loads of money, but those people that came won't come again.
That's the thing. Like,
exactly.
You'd come once and be like, well, I spent my money. I had
a lady from Dubai. She works for a big family here. After 4 years of pestering her, she came to Abu Dhabi. I thought at least she'll come to Dubai. She came to Abu Dhabi. So persistent works, and actually showing your good intention. And I know it would have been a referral from somebody said, actually, that OB guy
great, yeah,
puts on a good show.
Yeah.
And actually, there's this banker from Goldman who made one good referral to 2 families, and I'll never forget it. And he can come to any event. Even though a lot of the time we give exclusivity to banks, I do say I've got a couple of bankers who've done me a favor in the past. They come. And so there's these little word of mouth that kind of goes a long way. So, but we've had our, I use podcast mics for the stage. I still don't know if I like it, but it's different. So I like doing things that other people aren't doing. Like we got this big box at the front of the stage. It looks like we're about to do a boxing press conference, but it's different to look at. So just not copying what everyone else is doing. Do I like it? Not really. But is it different to what everyone else? Yes, it is. So let's stand alone and be different. So I think the first event we did, nobody could hear each other. That we put the speakers behind there. Everyone was looking at each other. I accidentally built the stage where it was meant to be an inverted L, but it was a forward L. So I was sitting there and nobody could see each other. Right, it was meant to be forward because the idea came from around.
Put it up and the wrong way. It's like doing IKEA the wrong way.
And we built it because I didn't sit up there. So until we sat up there, I went, but you have to go with it. You've got loads of people coming.
Yeah.
So it's, you have all these different challenges along the way, but the idea came from it's half a round table.
Yeah.
Creating that discussional focus. Yeah. And I moderate all the panels, and it's not because I want to be up on stage. Trust me, I don't. I've got enough to deal with. It's more that when you're dealing with family businesses, there's a lot of privacy. When you're dealing with certain corporates, they're a bit scared of what the audience might say. So I speak to them before and say, I'm controlling the narrative. We haven't got a Bloomberg presenter or somebody here who's just coming with the scripts that might say something random. I know you as a person. You trust me to say the right things. So I think also that kind of moderation aspect is not because it's like I have a big head and I want to be up on stage. It's because that person trusts me to not ask them, what are you investing in at the moment? Tell everyone. Or say, actually, you in the audience, why don't you ask this guy from ADNOC what they've just recently done with Donald Trump? It's like,
well, it's a nice personal touch. I mean, it fits the audience because, like you say, if you've got people coming along who are quite private and so on. And trust me, when we've spoken to some, particularly corporates, that say we have a policy where we can't come on podcasts because we can't publicly talk about stuff, which makes sense. But then it to your point earlier about having your name above the door, it then brings a bit more of a personal touch. Is like you say, it's not someone who's going to ask interrogating questions. Is actually you can then have the kind of the integrity of you're the one putting this on. You can trust me with the tone in which we take it. It's very supportive and it probably allows.
And it comes back to that monetization. People who I'm not bad mouthing events companies, but I'm saying if you, it's kind of an act of a little bit of laziness if you just put a moderator there. Just say,
very good.
can you moderate this panel?
But I never. It's professional moderator, particularly in
there are some very good ones. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but they're expensive.
But it's a different tone.
Agreed.
When you take the tone of it, when I came along to the one in Dubai, and the tone that you took to it felt very much like these are. I felt the conversation.
These are mates,
and the conversation.
We're having a chat.
Exactly, as opposed to a bunch of talking points and maybe something in the news and and so the output was
very stiff.
Yeah.
So again, it's like all these learning things, and I think events need to change big time.
Yeah.
Because they've become too formal, and a huge monetization tool. Because there's so excitement in Dubai. Honestly, if I said I'm doing an event in 2 weeks, people will come.
Yeah.
And people will spend money.
What do you think of doing next then? Because that's I think you've. To reflect on it, you've made this pivot from the kind of transactional deal making, kind of given a lot of value, created this amazing community, creating this amazing network, and deals are starting to be done. You talked about maybe being a bit more intentional. What are you thinking about maybe the next 5 years and where you take the platform?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think that's the main thing.
It's
like I'm enjoying the process and the learning. Maybe jump into the private equity world.
Come and join us.
You find a good business that you love.
Yeah.
You set up an SPV, and you bring your friends in with you and say, "Do you trust me to operate this great company?" And in 3-5 years' time, we can sell it for more money. Do you trust me? So maybe that's the long goal of the community. But I don't know, because as I said, I'm trying not to be that guy where it's like, but. I'm sure if I had my own fintech startup, a lot of these people would have seen kind of the hard work of building this and the emotion and the showing up, the hard work. They'd probably back me if I said, I want to do this.
For sure. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think we've got our boring accounting companies in background. We just
but don't knock a boring business.
That's
boring
unbelievable.
Businesses are great. Accounting firms are brilliant. There's in private there's millions of accounting roll-ups that are going on, and so there's an amazing opportunity. Even
going away from events is my brother and I. So we're regulated in the UK and UAE. We're auditors here because you need to audit everything here. In the UK, you don't unless you're a listed company or anything. Our generation has the best opportunity now to buy small accounting books. So we tested this. My brother was in a pub in the UK.
The Boomer Business roll-up.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
There's an accounting company in his village. He lives in Surrey. And this old guy shows up, and my brother moved his accounting company into the same neighborhood. The old guy just said to him, "I'm interested in, retiring." And I think it was like a £600,000 revenue business. And he disappeared. I think he got busy, because the problem is when you're somebody who's built like an accounting company, nobody's going to knock on your door and buy your business. And it's your retirement. And why not work? You're earning yourself a salary. But deep down, he wants to retire. So a year went down. They met again at the pub at Christmas time, same time. And this year it actually worked, where my brother said, I'll take it. So what's happening now is the book of revenue goes to my brother's business. He has I would say, slightly cost-efficient back office. So it's our first roll-up, and we're going to keep doing that. So right. I think the future of small private equity in the UK in services businesses, oh my God, the potential. Yeah. We just want to go to all the little villages. You'll have an old guy who's 68, 70 years old, who's been running an accounting business for 30 years. If I knock on his door and say, "We'll give you 800 grand for your business," he'll go, "Yes, please. Where do I sign? I want to retire and live on the beach."
If you can allow me to leave tomorrow and I can go and play golf and live on the beach, and you'll take over all this headache.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's not like everyone always thinks private equity is like a big bully game. No, you're relieving this guy.
That's what I mean. I mean, like I said, the switch I had from trying to be Steve Schwartzman to actually just trying to solve business owners' challenges, help them scale or help them retire or other things like that. And you can take a much more human approach to it. But I mean, I think to reflect on it, you've got this amazing platform now and I think probably advice maybe to give to folks watching this is actually, if you get yourself in a position where you have this amazing community and then out of that flows opportunity, plus you've got the core skill of accounting, which I know you might think of as boring, but it's never going away.
No.
And, AI, I appreciate AI might take some costs out of it, but you always need an accountant.
Indeed.
And, but having the combination of those things, I think puts you in a really good position to do some of those roll-ups and to build a really exciting future.
Yeah, and I think the kind of the final message is really I went back to that as well as my social brand, like giving. So it's like on social media, we always see people with big profiles of like arrogant young person. What do you know? You're doing all this for money, blah, 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 blah. So again, it's like I switched my LinkedIn profile to giving. So I just give information. And inorganically, you get the people come to you. And it's not that I guess it's a clever way of using social platforms. And again, I took that into the events model is I don't think a lot of people should spend lots of money on digital ads or marketing companies. No, again, credit to marketing companies. It's they're good at what they do, but pay for drinks. $2,000 will go a lot more way paying for a bar bill than spending $2,000 on ads or it's just invest in the marketing of getting people together opposed to the marketing of trying to make your brand look amazing.
Yeah.
And
that's a good piece of advice,
and that's kind of the summary of like where I think the event's going. And it's quite organic to say that I don't know where this event's going because it's fun, it's growing, and I don't have this like big agenda of what to do with it. I had an Indian company that they said they wanted to put money into it to expand it to India. I said no because it's good at what it does. The size is fine, it works. Why now try and monetize it and turn it into this big dinosaur?
Yeah, fair enough.
So
final piece of advice: someone wants to come to the UAE, set up, be successful, like you've been.
I think it's just as hard here making it as anywhere else, right? It's not.
So don't put it on a pedestal.
No, it's not like it's easy to do it here because you got the bright lights and the Lamborghinis driving around and everyone's rich, whatever, right? It's more that there's a clear future you can see here opposed to other countries. They're building every day. People are driving forward. Everyone's smiling. People are on beaches. Nobody's complaining about the government taking all of their tax money. So it's nice to be around that environment and have a clean brain and thought process. So starting a business here is just as hard, but you have this kind of positive environment to do so. So that's kind of the biggest message is it's a great platform. You're around a lot of good people. It's exciting and everybody's willing to give things a go. I think a lot of countries have lost faith in that.
I think that's a huge thing. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, look, thanks so much. I honestly could talk to you all day. It's been great to have you on the show. And
very kind.
And thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. And if you did, then you should get on our list because we will be sharing exclusive behind the scenes. We'll be sharing more content, more materials. We'll also be sharing who are the upcoming guests so you can prepare for that. You can ask questions and you can really start to be part of a community. Head below, click the link, join the list, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.